Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the science of human performance to dismantle one of the absolute biggest myths in sports psychology. A lot of us think that self-talk is just about hyping yourself up right before you compete, saying all these super encouraging things to get your blood pumping. But the research actually tells a completely different story. It turns out, treating self-talk like one giant generic bucket of positivity, that's exactly why it so often lets us down.
Think about it. Have you ever tried to hype yourself up, felt genuinely fired up, and then completely botched a delicate technical skill? Or maybe you've experienced the exact opposite. You carefully talked yourself through the mechanics of a movement, stayed totally calm, and then realized you had absolutely nothing left in the tank when the physical effort dragged on. Well, I want to validate those past failures for you right now. Firing yourself up for a delicate technical skill can literally ruin your execution. And today, we're going to figure out exactly why that happens.
Section 1, the self-talk trap. Two kinds of talk. Okay, let's dive into this. The fundamental trap that most athletes fall into is treating self-talk as one undifferentiated tool. We hear things like, be your own coach, or just stay positive. But the reason that feels so incredibly unreliable is that you're treating two functionally distinct tools as if they're the exact same thing. First, we have instructional self-talk. This directs your attention to exactly how a movement is executed. It's your technical, focus-driven cue. Second, we have motivational self-talk. This one targets effort, confidence, and arousal. It's your drive cue. Aim the wrong one at the wrong task, and you're either going to fire yourself up for a movement that required pinpoint precision, or you'll be narrating the mechanics of a task that just required you to grit your teeth and push.
Section 2, Unpacking the Meta-Analysis. The 2011 study findings.
I want you to zero in on this number, 0.48. Back in 2011, Hatzigeorgiadis and his colleagues published a massive meta-analysis, pooling together 32 studies and 62 effect sizes. The overall effect size of self-talk interventions came out to exactly 0.48. Now, in the science world, that's what we call a moderate effect. It's real, it's totally measurable, and it's highly replicated. But it is not magic. Anyone selling self-talk as some superpower that'll instantly double your vertical jump is just inflating the facts. It is a precise tool, and it requires really precise application. So, the crucial question is, when does this tool actually work best? Well, the meta-analysis identified 3 key moderators. First up, self-talk works significantly better on tasks with fine motor demands, as opposed to heavy, gross motor demands. Second, it's way more effective for novel tasks, things you're just learning, than for well-learned, highly automatic ones. And third, it is far more effective when you are formally trained to use it, rather than just casually told to talk to yourself.
Section 3, The Matching Principle. Task demands matter.
Here is the core solution. You have to deliberately match the specific type of self-talk cue to the specific demands of your physical task. In a landmark year 2000 study by Theodorakis and colleagues, they put this to the test across 4 different tasks. For fine coordinated movements, like a soccer accuracy test or a badminton service test, instructional self-talk was the undisputed winner. But when they looked at gross motor tasks requiring raw strength and endurance, like sit-ups or heavy knee extensions, motivational self-talk completely dominated the endurance side, while both types helped a bit with raw strength. The takeaway is super clear. Match the cue to the demand.
We can see this principle play out brilliantly in the pool, too. In a 2004 water polo study, researchers found the exact same shape to the data. When players were tested on a highly precise throw-in task, instructional cues gave them the biggest bump in accuracy. But the moment the task switched to throw in a ball from maximum distance, pure, raw, gross motor output, only the motivational cues produced a significant gain. Precision needs instruction, distance needs motivation.
And this isn't just sterile lab science either. A 2022 field study by Galanis took this to the basketball court. They tested free throw accuracy, which is a highly precise instructional task, right after a fatiguing shuttle run. For the control group, fatigue totally ruined their mechanics and their accuracy tanked. But the group who underwent a 3-week strategic self-talk program, they held their shooting percentage completely steady. Using the right instructional cue under pressure literally protects your technique from fatigue.
Section 4, The Expert Caveat. When the rule flips.
Now, before you go applying this to every single thing you do, you need to hear this one fascinating nuance. Except when the skill is genuinely well learned, the rule can flip. Let that sink in for a second. We just established that fine, precise tasks need instructional cues. But what happens when you are an absolute expert at that precise task?
A 2015 study by Hardy looked at 40 Gaelic footballers performing a highly precise shooting accuracy task. When they used their non-dominant foot, so a relatively unpolished novel skill, there was no meaningful difference between the cues, which perfectly aligns with what we know about novel tasks needing guidance. But when they switched to their dominant, highly automatic kicking foot, motivational self-talk actually produced significantly better accuracy than instructional self-talk. Why? Because when you feed clunky step-by-step technical instructions into a fluid, expert-level skill that no longer needs conscious supervision, you actually disrupt the motor pattern. It's the exact same psychological mechanism that causes athletes to choke under pressure. For experts, overthinking is the enemy.
Section 5. Your action plan. 3 practical steps.
And this brilliantly illustrates our path forward. How do we actually harness this science? We're going to deploy your new self-talk strategy using 3 actionable steps. Sort your tasks, build your short cues, and rehearse them in training. Let's break these down. Step 1. You need to sort your tasks. I want you to literally sit down and write out 2 columns. In column A, list out the parts of your performance that require precision under a relatively low physical load. In column B, list the parts that demand pure effort, endurance, or raw gross motor output. Map out your specific sport or activity so you know exactly what demands you're facing at any given second. Step 2, build your cues and keep them ruthlessly short. A cue should be 1, maybe 2 words max. For your instructional column, just name one single element of execution. Words like smooth, high elbow, or front rim. For your motivational column, name the drive. Words like strong, push, or now. If you try to use these long, complex, affirming sentences, they simply will not survive the cognitive pressure of a live competition. Keep it to a single, sharp mental trigger. Step 3. Rehearse in training. You cannot just decide to use a cue on game day and expect that 0.48 effect size to magically appear. The meta-analysis was incredibly explicit about this. Trained self-talk vastly outperforms untrained self-talk. You have to actively attach the specific word to the specific physical movement over and over again in practice. That way, when the pressure spikes, the cue automatically triggers the right physical response. And hey, remember the expert caveat. If your skill is already deeply automatic, test out a motivational cue on it during training just to make sure you aren't overcomplicating things. If this explainer helped give your inner voice a proper job description, hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the best science-backed performance strategies. Now, I want to leave you with a quick question to help you analyze your own inner dialogue. What is the single word you say to yourself under pressure? And based on what we've learned today, which of the 2 kinds is it? Let me know your specific cue down in the comments. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll see you next time.